This is the Building Walls podcast, episode number 69, recorded February 3rd, 2022. Nice.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
This is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is not. Val, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive
No,
away?
you
since
can't.
It's so important?
Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. Okay, hang on.
A majority of Americans, and forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Let's get it rolling. The Building Walls podcast. We are live on YouTube.
I don't like YouTube anymore.
I don't like YouTube either. What a great way to start our show. Just
Sorry. Hey guys,
Just
super excited. Yeah, I am excited to be here. It's one of my favorite episodes. We haven't done it yet, but it's episode number 69.
hold on. I'm getting a good night hug and kiss.
Oh, there you go.
Good night, sweetie.
Yeah, well, in the meantime,
I love you.
you know, that's what
Yeah,
it's
there's
all
two
about, right?
Christies,
Being a
that's
dad. It's being a dad.
You go to bed, buddy, okay?
This is a family-friendly show. We're not allowed to drop one F-bomb. No F-bombs at all in this show.
She's so excited. She saw two Chrissies on the screen at the same time. That's how much she loves you.
Dude,
She
Uncle
loves you,
Chrissy
man.
for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two Chrissies. That's great. Loving
man.
family. Family's awesome.
Dude, family is fun. You know, that's what isn't that what it's all about? And you got your
Absolutely.
family, and then what's the best part about life too is you get extended family. Like both you guys, I consider you guys my brothers. So, yeah,
Brother from
pretty cool.
another mother. And then you got Dave Prisbillo. He's probably listening in. If not, he's gonna listen in. He's somebody's daddy.
He's not listening in.
And he's like
too
a
busy.
brother.
He's crying himself to sleep at night because Aaron Rodgers sucks.
And so I know Dave's gonna listen to this. Aaron Rodgers is not gonna play for the Packers next year, and that team's gonna suck.
The ride is over. If they think Jordan Love is the next in line from
Dude.
Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, I got news for you. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, they had a good run.
Listen
Had a
up,
good run.
Cinderella. It's 12 o'clock. Ding, ding. You need to go to bed.
Yeah. Good luck
Yeah.
with that, Dave. Good luck.
Good luck.
So let's get
Anyway.
to some good stuff here. Probably most of what we're going to talk about with this show is that things that are now coming out is the same stuff that we've been talking about ever since Biden administration took the office.
Even
they're-
before that.
And they're now admitting it. Like the first thing we got here is, according to a Daily Wire article, my boy Phil Fishburne asking us about our technical difficulties. Thanks, Phil. We're good to go now. So the Daily Wire reports that the DHS secretary, Biden's DHS secretary, admits that there's a border crisis worse now than it's ever been in the last, or that's been in the last 20 years, if not ever.
If not ever. Because people are coming over in droves. And the problem, Chad, is that Biden doesn't know what's going on. He's got too many things going. And there's just so much happening that all he does is he goes and checks out and gets some ice cream.
Right. And this is so, I want to make it very, very clear. These are things that we're not saying. We're not the ones now saying, we were saying it a year ago, right? That there's a crisis at the border. But this isn't us saying this. This is the person who is in charge of securing the border is now saying we have a problem at the border.
A country without a border is not a country.
Exactly. Did it?
The end.
If it takes an administration, if you're at your job, I just want to make it simple. If you're at your job and it takes your boss, the company, whoever, over a year to realize that the path you're going is not working and that it's been actually going on for a year, what kind of confidence would you put into that employer, into that boss? Probably none, because they're a moron. If it took them 365 days, that they're realizing, seeing a problem every day. That's like having someone steal from you every single day, and then a year from now being like, well, damn, they're stealing from me. There's a crisis.
I think I'm missing some stuff. Some stuff is now gone. Where's my stuff? Come on.
That's literally this has been going on for over a year.
I feel like, I saw this, I don't know if it was a tweet or a Facebook post or whatever it was, but it was by Tommy Lahren, or, that, the gal from Nashville, I think she is from.
Yeah. She's on Fox News now, was doing some other stuff before.
Right. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but in terms of the pandemic, at this point, if you're against, opening up, or if you're pro-vaccine, you got to have booster shots, you got to have all these things, you have to continue with the lockdowns, you have to do the mandates. Either you're in one of two camps at this point. You're either making a boatload of money off of this, okay, and you don't want it to stop, or you're just so scared and you can't think straight and you can't even think for yourself or for others. And I thought, man, well, that applies to the COVID thing. But isn't that really, can't you apply that same filter with this, what we're talking about with the border? At this point, if you're just ignorantly avoiding being responsible on the border, either you're making money off of this somehow, or you're just an idiot and don't know what's going on and can't make decisions for others. Right?
You're exactly right. And whether you're making
Tommy's right, or whatever her name is, Tommy Lahren. She's a smoke show, by the way.
They're making money.
I love my wife.
They're making money one way or the other. And really where they're making money is through votes. Because they know that if they can keep the power, they can pull a Nancy Pelosi and make, 29 million off of stock market trades. When you're setting regulation, how lost do you have to be? How stupid do you think the American people are? That if you're the ones regulating the businesses, you should not be allowed to make trades based on those regulated businesses.
You should not be able to take an ownership position, which is owning stock in a company. You are at the ownership level. You should not be allowed to do that if you have a direct conflict of interest, which is being in Congress.
Right. It's just like what we were talking about. The guy, Tyrell Crosby, the lineman from the Lions, said that if they're allowed to do that, shouldn't I be allowed to bet on sports? Shouldn't Pete Rose be allowed to be led into the Hall of Fame?
I mean,
based on that principle.
In Pelosi's world, he is in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. So if Pete Rose can't cheat, why can Nancy Pelosi cheat? Why can she know what's going to happen? Insider trading, 100%. This is insider trading. Why can she know what's going to happen?
It's the definition of insider trading.
Exactly. I know what's going to happen internal to a company, and therefore I'm going to make a stock trade based on that insider information before John Q. Public has access to that information.
Yep. literally, I know I'm going to pass legislation that is going to directly impact an industry sector, and I'm going to invest in these companies. Okay.
They are totally lost. Another spot where they're totally lost is Steven Crowder shared this on his website with Ronda Rousey, who is a female professional UFC fighter, talking about how dumb it is that of the whole thing of equal pay. So she's a female, fights UFC, males fight
Right.
in UFC.
Mhm.
So she's in the thick of it. She literally said, I get paid what I'm worth. If I don't bring as much value, aka money, to the organization that I'm fighting for, I therefore shouldn't get paid as much money because I'm not as much of a value. Isn't it funny how that works and how it works in the workplace? If you're not bringing X amount of value to your employer, why should they pay you accordingly?
Well, that's why, having owned a business, and I just find this part fascinating because the people who are making this commentary clearly have never owned a business. This is why I feel like the wage gap is complete BS. So if you could hire for a position, you own a company, you're going to hire for a position, right? And you've got, I don't know, you just say, like, I hear women or minorities say, well, I get paid less than somebody else who gets paid more for the same position. Well, I got news for you. That's not true. And here's why. If I'm running a company, my goal is to make profit. I need to make the most amount of money for the people who are the owners of the company, right? If I can hire somebody to do the same position for less money, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Hear that? Did you catch that? If I can hire somebody, all things being equal, and someone's going to do that job for less, then I'm going to hire them. Okay? So if they're getting paid more than you, there's a reason for that. They bring something else to the table. Okay? Because otherwise, why wouldn't every business owner on the planet, if minorities, let's just say if black people and women get paid less than white men, then why isn't every company filled with women and black, men and women who would get paid less? Because then the profits would go up if they did the same job, if they were doing the same job. So see, that's where the fallacy is. It just doesn't work.
Chris, your facts are too much right now.
Well, that's because I own a company.
The logic is too much right now. I hope at some point in the future a leftist head is listening to this and just explodes because they can't cram that good knowledge in there.
It's
it's filled with
old
so much
white boys
BS.
club. No, it's not. It's who can do the job for the cheapest amount of money.
That is
who's
literally
willing
the
to
biggest
do the
hole in
job
the
for the
argument.
least amount.
That's perfect. So, and like such a great example of this is basketball.
Right?
If the WNBA, there's a huge wage gap from WNBA to NBA. The gap is what the WNBA players get paid amounts to a net loss for the WNBA. That is not a sustainable business model. If your company is losing money every year based on what they're paying you, you are soon to not be paid by that company.
Right.
Because there is no money. The NBA turns a profit. So they can pay their players whatever they want because that is the value brought to the organization.
What if LeBron James decided to identify as a bitch like he is?
How's that?
And then he just
Can we get LeBron on the show, please?
Like, let's go. I'm now a woman. I'm I'm LeBron James.
Yeah,
And
LeBron,
I'm
tuck
going to
it
play in
between
the
your legs.
WNBA, and I'm
Get
going to
a wig.
score 800 points a game. How does that work?
Dude, that was perfect.
Has anyone ever thought that one
LeBron?
through? What if
There's a good path
LeBron
for
decided he wanted to play for the Seattle Sonic or whatever the I don't even know the WNBA teams, but like if he just decided I'm going to play in the WNBA because I identify as a woman now. How's that work?
He would be the only one in the WNBA who can run fast, jump high, and shoot and dunk and do all that whenever he pleases.
Is there like whoever that team, he's like automatically going to win like every championship?
Yeah. Like I don't want to take away from anyone's talent in the WNBA. I'm not saying that whatsoever. There is a lot of great female basketball players, but that is agnostic to the fact that the WNBA does not bring in enough revenue to even pay their players.
But if they could play in the NBA, wouldn't an NBA team hire them?
Yeah, because
again,
they
back
can
to my
pay them
previous
less.
point. Exactly.
Therefore, the business owners like, wow, why would I pay LeBron James millions of dollars every year when I can pay Sue Bird $700,000
and make the same amount of money?
Right, because that would literally put an additional 30 million whatever dollars into that owner's pocket. But it's because she can't play to the level of LeBron James. Again, no offense to them.
Nope.
They can't jump. They can't
stadiums.
run. They can't shoot. They can't do any of that as good as the average male in the NBA. Because it's called science, something the left hates.
Yeah, follow the science. Exactly. This show's already off to an epic start. Like, holy cow. Look, yeah, we got a nice graphic here. What do we got? NBA, WNBA? Compare and contrast.
7+ billion to 80 million.
60 million. It's worse than that. 60.
Oh, 60. If I was Dr. What's his name on Austin Powers? Why have a billion when you can have a million? A billion's more than a million, stupid.
$1 million. Give me some preparation H. Whoop.
I mean, just look at the average viewership, though. Like, that's a huge gap. Huge gap.
There's a huge problem in our country that people don't want to play in their strengths. They don't want to figure out their strengths. They want to sit back and complain. If you can't jump as fast, or wow, that's crazy, jump as fast. If you can't jump higher, run as fast, shoot just as good, be just as big, be physically gifted like other people, there's a reason that I'm not in the NBA or the NFL or anything like that. I'm not as physically gifted as these guys who are. But but Chris, I love football way more than some of those guys in the NFL. I can bench press more weight than the average defensive back. So what? They run faster, they jump higher, they can cover way better than I can. That's why they're in the NFL and I'm not. Why would I focus all of my life trying to be paid just as much as they are by playing football?
That's Colin Kaepernick.
No one wants to watch me
better
play
quarterbacks. If you were a great quarterback, a team would hire you. A team would pick you. You're not a great quarterback.
Exactly.
That's why Colin Kaepernick can take a knee and he can do whatever he wants. Like, get out of here.
That's the Moneyball scenario in the movie Moneyball, where Brad Pitt is Billy Bean sitting in front of his room of scouts, and they're like, this guy's going to be a great hitter. He says, yeah, well, if he's a great hitter, why doesn't he hit good?
Yep.
Like, if you're the best quarterback in the NFL, why does no one want you?
Right.
If you're better than other quarterbacks, why does no one want you? Because their goal is to win football games. The more, just so people know, this might blow some minds on the left, but if an NFL team makes it to the playoffs and plays home games, if they make it to 3 rounds of the playoffs and play home games, they are gaining additional revenue for paying those players just about the same amount of money. So they make more money because they're playing more games at their stadium. So why wouldn't an NFL team want to have the best chance at success?
More fans.
Exactly
winning.
To your point, which is if you can pay someone to do the same job for less, why aren't they getting employed everywhere?
Exactly.
So let's talk about some more stupidity.
I love it.
Dude, there's some articles.
This is a special Thursday edition, and it might bring out even better. Like we've had a whole full week of being able to find stupid shit for people to listen to.
Dude, we've been on this for 30 minutes already. This is fantastic. So, if COVID, getting a vaccine, wearing a mask is so effective, why is it not effective? Right? If he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good? If you're triple vaxxed and you're wearing your mask, if you're triple vaxxed, I haven't taken one because natural immunity is proven to be better. If you're triple vaxxed, why can't you return to your home country? Right? Because Hershey's is laying off salaried employees who aren't vaccinated as quick as they can. Why? In their statement, it said that to reduce the spread of COVID.
Oh,
so cute. If you're triple vaxxed, apparently you can't spread COVID. So why is this New Zealand reporter who was in Afghanistan told she can't return home? She's 25 weeks pregnant, triple vaccinated. Come on, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm about to drop an F-bomb, and I got to say it just so I don't, because God damn it. If it works, why are you stopping the same people who are trusting you, believing in you, saying that they're going to do what you say so that they can have freedom? But then you don't give them the same freedom. How fucking stupid can you be?
Amen. Preach, brother. Preach.
Man.
I'm coming to the Church of Whalls right now, better, and I'm going to make a big donation. Let's go. Preach.
But Chris, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? This is wild.
Dude, the biggest problem I have with all of everything that's happened in the last 2 years is that continually there seems to be a mass idea of like, I'm just going to have a one-size-fits-all solution for a medical issue. And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work at the state level. It doesn't work at the national level. And it sure as shit doesn't work at the world level. So you think you're going to keep posting or like telling people they got to get vaccinated. They got to do this. You got to do that. You don't know. Everybody's different. I mean, just take the United States. There's 350 million people here. By the way, there is no one solution fits all. Do not sit there and say everyone has to be vaccinated. You're wrong. You're wrong. In fact, I don't know. Do we have later in the show we're talking about the Johns Hopkins thing? We should. I don't think we do. This is a perfect time to talk about it. Johns Hopkins University comes out with a report that says the lockdowns didn't work. Your reaction, your leadership failed. Locking down the country didn't save hardly any lives like they thought it was going to be. And in fact, the conclusion of this study is that mandates and lockdowns should not be used as a tool for handling a pandemic.
The headline exactly was a Johns Hopkins study says ill-founded lockdowns did little to limit COVID deaths.
0.02%.
So it was 0.2. I'm reading it right now, just so make sure.
Okay,
we don't want anybody out there fact checking us, because God.
Fact check this.
So 0.2%. But here's the thing, and we're getting around to some of this, right? We've already talked about how some of it. We've been saying this for over a year now. People here's the thing though. People like us have not been saying this thing for over a year. Like there's a very small number of people who have been saying this for over a year. There's people who are still out there like, yeah, well, you should get vaccinated. You should still get vaccinated. Vaccinations are still good. Yeah, they are. But in this case, there's been so many studies that have come out and things like this that say it didn't have any effect. Not only did not have any effect, but it shouldn't be mandated. Because Chris, I don't think we have a number to this. It's hard to say. But what would you say about the people who died from suicide because they were either held in solitary confinement, lost a job, or anything like that? Because there's a reason why prisons put people in solitary confinement.
Right. It's a punishment.
Right. The
They
government
don't put
literally
you in
put us in solitary confinement.
They literally do not put you in solitary confinement for good behavior.
No.
It's a punishment. And the other way to read that, Chad, on that study is 99.8% of people were negatively affected by the lockdowns. So, damn near 100% of people were negatively affected by the choice to lock down and to have the mandates. So, are we going to follow the science? And at what point is like 99.8? That's virtually 100% of people were negatively affected by having these leaders choose the choices that they made. And I think we were talking about it earlier today, and you laughed and you said, well, I know what the left will say. We saved lives. We saved lives.
Right. We still save 0.2% lives, Chris.
Can you imagine if Trump was a leftist?
Oh my! I don't know where this is going, but I'm excited.
Can you imagine if he was like, everybody knows that we had a lot going on with the Trump vaccine, but you should know we saved lives. Everybody knows that 0.2% of the lives were saved, and everybody knows that was important.
Oh man.
Can you imagine if Trump just came out and he was just like a Looney Tune like that? What if Trump was like, come on now. I can't even do it. Like, what if he was like, Trump was like, the Holocaust wasn't about race. Everybody knows it wasn't about race.
Man.
I love myself some Whoopi Goldberg. Everybody loves Whoopi Goldberg. Not so much these days, I don't suppose. But, it doesn't matter because the Jews aren't really real people anyway because, I'm black and I'm going to do whatever I want. No, Whoopi, you're not. You're not going to do that.
I'm crying over here, man. That's great.
If Trump was a leftist, I don't even know. I can't even handle it now. Seriously, thank God, praise Jesus, he's not. And honestly, the dude's a nut job. Can we all agree that Trump, he's gold for saying, and by the way, I love the guy who does the Trump impressions of the guy going through drive-thrus. Have you seen this guy on TikTok? It's awesome. He's like, yeah, we'll take the meats. Everybody knows that Arby's has the best meats. We don't like Dr. Fauci, though. We want Dr. Pepper. It's good. But I'm just telling you. You know what? Before I get rolling too much, Chad, I think this is
you're doing it. You're doing it.
I'm just going to segue. I'm just going to segue into my favorite part of the whole show, which is the weekly rant. And I think this is it's your time to shine, man. Everybody knows we love Chad Whalls. We love the rant. The rant is the best. So let's do it.
It's going to be good. By the way, this blows me away. I live closer now to Boston than I've ever lived in my life. The reason I say that is because Sam Adams is a Boston beer, right? Sam Adams, cherry
always
wheat.
A good decision. Always.
When you mix that with Guinness, They call it like a blackened cherry or a black cherry, and it's fantastic. But the funny part is, it's hard to get Sam Adams cherry wheat in the state of Connecticut. Yet I'm an hour and a half away from Boston. I think it's because cherry wheat's made with Michigan cherries, like they did a Midwest thing, but it still blows my mind that I have a harder time getting access to something that I'm closer to. I don't know.
I love the cherry wheat. You know
Cherry
who
wheat's
else loves the
fantastic.
cherry wheat? Donald J. Trump loves the cherry wheat. Everybody knows that the cherry wheat is the best.
So
Rant! Go.
I've already done a mini rant, but I'm just going to go on this whole thing that it is utter stupidity. So the Super Bowl is plagued to be in Los Angeles, the home of the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium. So attendees are going to be forced to wear masks unless eating or drinking. So what you're telling me is that when your mask is down and you're still breathing, you're still talking, you're chewing, maybe with your mouth open, you're drinking, that at that moment in time, you cannot spread or contract COVID. Yet, what do people do when they're at football games? When they're at professional sporting events? They drink beer. They drink alcohol. They eat food. I mean, you're there for 3 to 4 hours, and you paid a lot of money to have these tickets. So, do you think that, like, just for that moment of time, they can't spread or contract COVID because they have their mask on? It is utter stupidity that at no point, because of things like this, and Chris, you have said it time and time again and laid it out so eloquently, that they haven't ever, there has never been a big media campaign coming out against the fact that hundreds of football games and sporting events have been played since COVID started, and not at one point have they ever shut them down. I mean, they did in New York, but there has never been a big media campaign to shut it down. Why? Follow the money. Follow the money. If you shut down these sporting events, there's a ton of ad revenue that goes right down the drain. So it is utter stupidity if you're out there that you would listen to any part of the media that tells you that you're going to die tomorrow from COVID if you don't wear a mask. If you don't get vaccinated, you will die. It is obviously not true, because they say that you can wear, or that you have to wear a mask to the game, but you don't have to wear a mask if you're eating or drinking. It is utter stupidity.
You will die.
That's right. And then they take this a step further, right? There was a huge media campaign for a week or two that said, hey, I'm Dr. Fauci. You can't spend Christmas with your family because there's too many people in the same room. God bless it. I'm about to drop another F-bomb.
No, you're not allowed.
So you're telling me you can't have Christmas with your family, but I can be in a stadium with 50,000 plus fans, and that's okay. Why? Because the taxpayers pay your salary, Dr. Fauci. That's why. And they pay your salary when they spend money on things like going to a football game. And then when the government officials turn around and let those same business owners piggyback and lobby and pay them money to push specific bills through, and then go out and place trades on stocks when they've created regulation based upon that. Like, this is not even a conspiracy. It's just, it's like simple conversation that it's like, what do you mean he's a good hitter if he doesn't hit good? What's the difference from either of those two statements? These people don't live in reality. And Chris, like you said, Whoopi Goldberg is utter stupidity. She does not live in something we call reality. Her comments about the Holocaust were literally that it wasn't about race. It was not about race. The fact that Adolf Hitler said, "I'm killing the Jews because they are not like the rest of us," is not about race. And she said because the color of their skin appears to be white, that it wasn't about race. It was white on white. Yet the crazy thing is, why do we call Jews Jews? Maybe because they're people of their own race and culture. They've always been Jewish people because they live by the Jewish law. They have ancestors from Israel. Like, how is that not about race? And then she only gets suspended for a few weeks? Yet Gina Carano, who just posted a picture on the internet about the Holocaust, was told that she was a racist or a bigot, whatever she was called, and got canceled from The Mandalorian because of it. And Whoopi Goldberg says, well, I'm going to quit because of this. Go for it. You're a moron. No one cares about anything you have to say. You are so stupid. So stupid. And this whole thing about race is crazy when you have Brian Flores from the NFL is suing the NFL, saying that they were racist by not hiring him. When he cited one moment where the New York Giants, he says it felt like they interviewed him. So first off, speculation, because they had to follow NFL protocols. Now, let me ask you a question. If the New York Giants did it to follow NFL protocols, is that the New York Giants' fault or is that the NFL protocols' fault? It sounds to me like it would be NFL protocols' fault if they're just following along with what they should do. But the great part about this, there's a number of things that are cited in this lawsuit, and that's the only thing that references race. He was saying, well, I can't believe I got fired because I had a better season for the Dolphins than we had before. Yeah, but you still didn't make the playoffs. Playoffs? That's the only thing that matters, is winning games. So, Chris, this is utter stupidity. These people live in zero reality. And we were chatting about this earlier. As I wrap up the rant, I want to know, you shared something with me earlier. I didn't look at it. But what did the NFL come back with? Because I feel like at some point they're going to settle with Brian Flores because they settled with Colin Kaepernick and Aaron Reed for $10 million over something that they didn't need to settle with them for.
Well, first of all, my man, that was a hell of a rant. I'm proud of you. That was good. You're
such a diamond.
The camera was on you the whole time, but you could see me and my reactions, and I was loving every second of it. I bust out laughing halfway through it. That's so great.
But I do.
On
episode 69.
Well, here's the thing. We talked about that story, Brian Flores situation, and you are contending that the NFL is like, oh gosh, this is and they're going to figure out a way that they're going to settle this, right? And I said, not a chance. No way. I think that they're going to fight this to the death. And I saw an article today on ESPN. I sent it to you. And it's where John Elway, who is the president and one of the owners of the Denver Broncos, came out in response to the allegations that Brian Flores levied against the Denver Broncos, saying that it was just all, just going through the motions. And he basically was like, yeah, no, we actually interviewed you. We accommodated your schedule.
Listen to this. Brian Flores said the interview started hours late because Elway and other top executives showed up hungover from the previous night. Yet the Denver Broncos say they have logs stating that the interview started promptly at, I believe it was 7:30 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's walking a real fine line. I think he's got, uh, a reason to be butthurt because maybe, he's just one
I
of
don't
those
think the
guys
Dolphins
that's
should
just
have fired him.
I don't think so either. But if it is true that the Dolphins owner came to him, Stephen Ross, and said, "Hey, like, I don't really want you to win games. Like we're trying to position ourselves for the draft." One, that's an internal matter. Two, that is,
Why would you want to coach in that organization?
Yeah, like maybe Brian, you're like, "Hey, I'm not wired that way. I can't see long term. I can only see short term, and I want to, win in the short term. Because that's literally the conflict between short term thinking and long term thinking. And of course, an owner long term is trying to think of like, hey, I'm going to get a higher draft pick. I can pick a franchise player, with that, and we can actually reset this. A coach is like, no, I need to win now, and I need to win, and blah blah blah. So I can see it not being a good mix there. The reality is, dude, I just think the NFL is not going to cave on this. They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, we're a racist organization." Yeah, it's still the good old boys club. It's just not. There's plenty of prominent Black people, and again, this goes back to, I mean, dude, why are you going to fall victim to what Biden did? You picked a VP based on not qualifications, on circumstantial things like, the person's race and their gender.
Mm.
You're going to do that again in the Supreme Court? God, I hope not. I hope we pick people who are qualified, who stand for law. And by the way, if that person happens to be Asian, awesome. If they happen to be Black, awesome. If they happen to be Latino, awesome. If they happen to be white, perfect, great. All of the above. Whoever is the best is who should have those roles. And that's the part that I think a lot of these minority candidates need to understand, that you need to be the best. Be better than Bill Belichick.
Right. Be the best version of yourself.
If Bill Belichick was Black, I promise you, he would still be Bill Belichick and be the greatest of all time. By the way, I'm sure there's a guy named Tomlin that's in Pittsburgh that's considered to be a pretty damn good coach, and that any organization would hire in a second. Why? Not because he's Black, but because he wins. Because he wins.
It's funny that you mentioned the whole Kamala Harris thing.
I know, right?
Because that plays directly
Kamala
into Whoopi talking about the Holocaust not being about race. If Kamala Harris is Black, if you want to lump all these people into being Black, whether they're from Africa, the Caribbean, wherever, Kamala Harris is a Jamaican Indian. And by Indian, her mother was from India, I believe, and her father was from Jamaica. It might be the opposite, but it's those two cultures for sure. So if you want to make a statement about race, she's not even what most Black people that I know refer to themselves as. They refer to themselves as African Americans. I remember about 20 years ago, and it might have been even further, but if you called an African American Black, they would be supremely offended. Like, I'm not Black, I'm African American. And then, like, you go to the next person and they're like, I don't want you to call me African American, I'm Black. Like, the reason I say that is because it's not about race. Or it is about race, depending on however you look at it. But if that's the case, how are the Jewish people white? Because people from Israel actually aren't white. They have olive-colored skin, typically.
The thing about Whoopi Goldberg, my man, and I would be willing to bet a lot of money, she does not. She's had to backtrack, or she's had to, quote-unquote, apologize, or, she's had to confront that there is a very large amount of people who disagreed with her statements, and she's not used to that. She's not used to being in the firing squad. And dude, she does not feel remorse for what she said. There's no way you're going to convince me. She believes what she said to her core because she's black. And she looks at it and says, that's my cross to bear. I'm black and I'm going to always be black. And I'm going to continue to, hold that up as the standard bearer for oppression. And it's just not true. I mean, but by like definition, she's probably doing pretty good. You know what I mean?
But Chris, even though she's a millionaire, she's oppressed, man. She's oppressed because she's black.
Yeah. Because that's the angle, that's the narrative. And I know a lot of my friends that are black are super offended when they talk about like, oh, you're oppressed. We had Jason Poliman on as a guest on this show, and he would tell you first straight up, he's like, he's not oppressed. Dude does great. He's a broker in real estate. He's able to do tons of business, and he's one of the smartest dudes I know. Yeah, it's awesome.
J. Pole.
J. Pole.
All right,
let's shout out.
Get a little something better here. I love that you mentioned this for the wholesome story. This is great. Tom Brady retires, baby.
The wholesome story is Tom Brady's retired.
So you said you think it's good for the NFL. Why do you think that?
I do think it's good for the NFL because one, I don't believe that there's ever going to be another quarterback who can accomplish what Tom Brady accomplished. And the reason I say that is, one, it's incredibly rare to be able to do the things that he has done over the longevity that he's been able to do it. You're looking at 22 years, man, of dominance. When is that going to happen again in the era? Look at Patrick Mahomes, who is a great athlete. Mm-hmm. And there might be better athletes than Tom Brady that come in to the NFL because players get bigger, faster, stronger. But none of those athletes are going to stick around and stay healthy for 20 years and do what he did. I mean, Tom Brady has won 12% of all the Super Bowls played.
And there's been over 50 years of Super Bowls.
Think about that. The dude is lights out, and so he announces his retirement, and he's going to go be a family man. And I agree with it. I do. I agree with the choice. I agree, that you're at that age that you've done everything possible in the NFL. There's nothing left to prove.
Man, I hope someday Brady listens to this because what I'll say is I love Brady. He went to Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan. I like how he carried himself on and off the field. But, dude, your clothing line blows. That is some of the worst looking clothes I've seen in my life. Why am I going to buy a bulky sweatshirt that says Brady in big, bold letters across it for $95? That better be the warmest freaking sweater I've ever had in my life because it is god-awful ugly.
See this? Michigan State, brother.
Dude, that looks 100 times better than those cruddy Brady sweaters. It is awful. But here's what I'm going to say about this is I have 3 words or phrases. This is Tom Brady to the NFL. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
He is on that level where those 4 players have done for their sports, which no other player might ever do. Like Wayne Gretzky scored almost twice as many points than the second person in points in their career ever. That is a wild feat If you're a sports person, go look up Wayne Gretzky's stats compared to number 2. The amount of points he scored is stupid.
Ovechkin's closing in on his goals, but he's nowhere near his assists.
Dude, if Wayne Gretzky didn't score any goals, he still would have scored more points than Ovechkin, I think. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would have to look that up, but that's wouldn't surprise me.
And then you have Tiger Woods, right? It's just crazy what he did for the sport. Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
is the same difference, right? LeBron James is bigger, faster, stronger, but Michael Jordan won more championships because he's a winner.
Michael Jordan changed the game.
Mm.
Can you imagine if Michael Jordan was coming out of college in today's game? He would be the Tom Brady. He would be the guy that played for the next 20 years that would be untouchable. Dude, there would be no question.
LeBron wouldn't be crying every year because he had to face off against Michael Jordan.
Yeah, LeBron would never win a championship.
No, because here's what's crazy is people say that, well, it's a different
mostly because he plays in the WNBA, though.
Yeah, LeBron.
Sorry.
There's guys who play in the NBA nowadays who are way less physically gifted, let's say, than Michael Jordan, who are phenomenal players. I mean, look at Ja Morant. Look at Kevin Durant. He's like a twig tree that's 7 foot. Michael Jordan was way more physically gifted than all these guys. So I love it when people say, oh, Michael Jordan wouldn't make it in today's basketball. Michael Jordan's stats are wild. In clutch time, he shot better. He stole more balls. He scored more points, had more assists, won more games than any of these bums playing right now.
Yeah, Jordan would hands down destroy everybody in the NBA right now.
Like
prime versus prime.
Right, guys like him, Brady, Tiger, Gretzky. Like you said, what was the word you used? They transformed the games that they played.
It changed the entire league.
My favorite moment.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the thing with Brady is that I just don't see with the salary cap and the way the NFL is and the parity and the way that the competition is structured. There's just nobody. You look at. There's going to be great athletes that come along, but nobody's going to be able to do it for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. And there's not. They're not.
So I just want to mention this. One of my favorite moments, because I hate when people say that there's some of these guys like Jordan who wouldn't make it in the NBA, is when Larry Legend was in the 3-point competition. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly what he said, but he looked to everyone else before he starts his 3-point shooting. And he's like, why are you guys even here? They're like, what? And he still had his warm-up jacket on. Like, he wasn't ready to shoot. And he hit darn near every ball and destroyed everyone. Like, there's no one in the NBA who talks smack like that anymore, period. Like some gumpy-looking 6'9" white dude who's just like, why you guys even show up today? Like, I'm going to destroy all of you, and then does it. It's great.
It's good times, man.
Dude,
good times.
Let's get into it. See, this is my favorite part. I'm fired off right at you. There's some other good stuff that we've packed into these few questions that I'm asking you. The first one is, what are your thoughts on the Canada truck convoy?
Are you familiar with the movie Braveheart? Little William Wallace. What will you do?
You love that.
Freedom. I mean, that's how I feel about that. The truckers are uniting. They're creating a convoy. They're like a modern day cowboy. The metal cowboy taking their truck. They're going to ride right into Ottawa. I love it. And I think it's even funnier that old Trudeau. Oh my God, I'm out of here. Like, Oh my gosh, there's like truckers coming. I'm leaving now. Oh my god. And I know the police were like, "Hey, you guys need to disperse," and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're not. We're not leaving until you lift the mandates and stop all this nonsense. We've had enough." And there's 10,000 trucks, 10,000 trucks that made this parade across Canada all the way to Ottawa and have tied up everything. And it's definitely a situation that I think is pretty good. And probably the best thing I saw about it, Chad, is that some reporter asked a trucker, like, "Well, what are you guys trying to do?" And he goes, "It's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve." 2 weeks of flatten the curve, buddy.
So follow up with this is there was a coalition started that said they have raised enough money to pay these truckers to sit in front of the Canadian Parliament for approximately the next 2 to 4 years.
Awesome.
Do you think from this that we'll see positive change because of
Oh yeah, I do. I think this is the kind of stuff that needs to happen. That the side that's had enough, and I'm actually surprised that we haven't heard there's a Canadian insurrection, the trucker insurrection, and I'd be like, is it the mother trucker insurrection, or like what is it with you people? Like everything's an insurrection that goes against what you want. So, at the end of the day, man, it's these people they got to get a message, and the people in leadership are going to be out. They're going to be out in the next elections. They're done.
So I just want to make a quick shout out real quick. My boy Joel Piazza sent me a text as we're talking about Brady. He wanted to let me know that Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis were the highest graded offensive players in the playoffs. And dude, Joel, I just want to let you know, stop being such a slappy because the Bills are not in the Super Bowl. Life sucks.
The Bills fucking suck.
Fantastic. So let's get on to the next one.
There you go. All right, text in some more, bitch boy.
So Arkansas governor, I love you, Joel. the Arkansas governor this past week has come out and says that we need to stop panicking about COVID.
Hey, man.
So what do you think happens in the next few weeks here with all this stuff that's coming out now? Do you think that we remove or start going towards a way where we don't have to wear masks, where we get rid of these stupid vaccine mandates and all that crud? Or do you think it kind of gets squashed?
Yeah, I think the party's over. I think there's a lot of people, especially with that Johns Hopkins report coming out that showed that none of these lockdowns made a difference, not a lick of difference. I think it's over. I think everybody's going to have to face facts that, you know what? COVID sucks. It sucks because you get sick. But you know what? Humanity has been getting sick since the beginning of time. That is not new. You're going to get a virus. You're going to have a cough. If you're reckless with your health and you have comorbidities, you are going to be susceptible to dying sooner than you should be. But you know what? That was the same. That was still true in 2018 before COVID-19. Okay. So I agree with the Arkansas governor that we need to stop the panic, because that's the thing. When it came out, it was like, oh my God, it's a pandemic. And people hear pandemic. Oh my God, what does that mean? That means if I get this, I could die. I could die immediately. I'm gonna shrivel up. My lungs are gonna crush up. I'm gonna die. And then, oh my God, millions of people have gotten this and gotten better. Oh my God, millions of people have gotten this and had 0 to no symptoms. Millions and millions of people have gotten just better. Now there's a lot of people who died, and all those people who had bad shit they were going to die anyway.
All right, so Chris, we got one last question for you.
All right,
You hit on this a little bit. They got the Johns Hopkins study lockdowns had little to no effect on COVID. We've talked about a few things here. What do you think has taken so long for us to get to this point where we're now saying things like Johns Hopkins and the CDC, and the CDC and the WHO are now saying things that we've been saying for months because we've followed the science?
The answer to that is 100% the left's ego. That's it. It's why it's taken so long is the fact that these people on the left think they're the elite party and are capable of telling us what we need to know, what we should be doing, how we should live our lives, how everything's going to be, and then they're wrong. And they don't want to admit they're wrong. And it's going to be a process, and it's going to continue to be reports like this that continue to show that the science, the data, that they were wrong. They were bad wrong. Everything about their choices was wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
What were they?
Fucking wrong.
Damn.
The show's getting rated R for wrong.
Dude, I was about to say something else that I'll leave it at that. So we're going to take this episode. The next topic is still kind of followed the lines. Well, they both are. But this is going to be good. So the next one is Steven Crowder posted this. There was a philosophy professor. And this is kind of weird, I would say.
Yeah, we're shifting gears hard.
Man, dude, this is wild. Philosophy professor. The reason I'm so adamant that he's a philosophy professor, because if you get into a conversation with some of these guys who are philosophers and this philosophical argument upon things, where they look at morals and ethics and how societal values, play into things, some things can get really weird. And the reason I mention this, because I feel that a part of me wants to say that this is where the right, people on the right, conservatives, really, really screw up. They really screw up. They take things like this way out of context to what's said. So this philosophy professor comes out and says that part of the quote that he said was a man wanting to have sex with a 12-year-old girl is not wrong, especially if she's a willing participant. And there's a lot to that. There's people on the right. And again, this is what I hate. They're like, oh my God, this guy's such a POS. Screw him. He's such a nasty individual. This, that, and the other. And you never stop to ask questions or think about it. And I'm not saying that I agree with what he said, because it's really strange to even get into this. But when you think about
the record, and for our audience of 18 people who listen to the show, Chad picked this topic.
I did, because I think it's good to talk about stuff like this. I just want to get your thoughts first about what you think about what he said. Is it wrong? Why is it wrong? Is it right? Why is it right? Whatever.
Well, I mean, it's just like a humanity historical thing. When you look at women physiology, from age 11, 12, 13, 14, are they capable of having a baby? Yes. In fact, I have physicians in my family who are OB-GYN that can tell you that they have experience with girls as young as 9 years old.
Wow.
Being pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah. And so physically, is it possible? Well, clearly the answer to that is yes. But then you step back and go, okay, well, we're several years into humanity here, and we've built upon the successes of generations that we
Just
should know
several.
by this point that, doing that to, a young girl is emotionally scarring. They're not ready. They're not developed. They're not emotionally and mentally developed. Physically developed, yes. Emotionally, mentally, no. And I think that's where that discussion comes in. And maybe that professor is making the point like, well, yeah, I mean, if you're 10 or 11 or 12 years old, you're physically able to have a baby. So that means that you should or could, not should, but could be physically sexually active. I just don't see how you dismiss the idea that there's a lot more that goes into procreating. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's so important about this is that I've seen more things from the left come out in recent years talking about how like they have some weird thing about pushing these things forward, about almost trying to make pedophilia seem okay. The whole Jeffrey Epstein case,
Hmm.
it lays right into this. And there's not one sane dad out there who would want his daughter to be put in the position that this professor describes. Like, I get the chills and goosebumps just thinking about it because exactly what you said is that just because you're able doesn't mean you're ready. And there's so much to this world, to this life, that people will take advantage of if you let them. And I think for me, where we look at it from a society is that most of the time, if you follow along these societal views, and I'm in this position, I'm not going to put myself in that position where I may have a child with a woman that age because I feel that it's wrong. I feel that it's not right because it's not. She's if 12-year-olds can't vote, can't drink beer, can't smoke a cigarette, can't be in the military, can't hold a job, have to go to school. What says they're old enough to want
Have
to
to go
rear
to
a child?
sixth grade.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
What says they're old enough to rear a child? Like, the people who think these things have serious mental issues. Well, like, what? Because what the left doesn't understand about anything is that once we go down this road, if they allow stupidity like this to permeate society, what's next? Because they're already trying that. They're already letting Leah Thomas, who is a male with a penis, compete against women who don't have penises and destroy them in swimming competitions. So at what point is enough enough? Like, pedophilia
Maybe
has
when I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
maybe when LeBron joins the WNBA.
So, dude, the first thought I'm thinking is, like you said, humanity's been around for several years.
Right?
If
Yeah.
pedophilia has been bad for 4,000 plus years, people are just now
Why start
figuring
now?
out that it's okay.
Why are we
No.
starting now?
No. Like, but the left has been like slowly pushing this very weird narrative here and there in different ways. And it's just strange. It's strange that they would come up with this stuff. Like, I wouldn't want to say that shit out loud because I don't want you to look at me the wrong way, Like, if I believe that.
I mean, it leads right into the last topic that you put up for this week,
Yeah.
which is how do you define yourself?
Hmm.
Honestly, Like, how do you define yourself? Left versus right. We talk about the left versus the right, and the conservatives versus liberals, and most people, honestly, are in the middle. The good majority of people have a mix of both. And but man, you nailed it. You put this in our notes, and I swear to God, dude, I highlighted that, and I was like, wow, this is so profound.
Yeah, so
because it's crazy.
There's a huge identity crisis going on. It seems like, at least if you listen to the media every day, and everything we hear in the media is the left defines themselves as everything that's wrong with the right. These people are racist.
Orange mad bad.
Yeah, these people say mean tweets. These people don't want you to vote. These people don't want you to have a say. They are everything bad. And the right defines themselves by their values. Like, no, we just want voting to be fair. We want everyone to have equal opportunity. We want everyone to have freedom of speech. Like, it's not a plug at anyone. These are our values. Let us share them with you. And the left is constantly like, no, you're wrong.
You're racist.
Wrong. You're a racist. You're a bigot. Homophobic. You're a misogynist. Right. Any word, that's constantly what we hear.
You're an insurrectionist.
Ooh.
You know what, dude? When I read that, I was like, wow, that is like literally exposing the true morality issue that we have facing our generation, our entire generation, the next 40 years. We talk about like Tom Brady retiring and being the greatest of all time and a generational talent. Well, there's generational issues, and right now the identity crisis that you've laid out is that is the problem. And there's half the country who blames the other half for everything that's wrong, and then that other half is just trying to do the best that they can because they're focused on other shit.
Yeah, and that's exactly why it's such a catch-22 when you look at politics left and right. Everyone always gets mad at everyone, every conservative politician, usually because they don't hold true to their values. But it's because, one side, this is what I loved about Donald Trump. The left plays identity politics. They tell you everything that's wrong with you to get people to vote for them. And Donald Trump was like, okay, I can play that game too. I'm going to tell everyone what's wrong with you and get them to vote for me. And it's going to be so easy because you do it to yourselves. And that's literally what he did. He said, I'm going to play your same fight. And it's so weird because it's like we want Cocaine Mitch to play that fight too.
But he doesn't.
No. And that's why a lot of people.
What are my Republican friends feel that
Christopher, no Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer over there. Like, dude, have a coffee. Maybe do a line of Coke.
Yeah. Get a little fired up, Mitch.
That's so good. Oh, my man. I'm telling you, that was a great synopsis of everything that's going on in our country. And I couldn't agree with you more, honestly. I really couldn't.
Dude, I appreciate it. You hammered it on the show.
Dude, this is a good episode.
I love the feedback.
Episode 69.
Episode 69. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and share us.
I do feel bad that I made fun of your friend from Buffalo, or that he likes Buffalo.
Don't feel bad. Mike Valeni, one of the best sports talk show people in the country, at one point said, I've been to Buffalo. Buffalo's an awful city full of awful people. That's directly quoted from Mike Valeni, and I couldn't agree with him more.
Well, I mean, I've said this on the show before, but when we're talking about Buffalo,
I love you, Joel.
I dated a girl from Buffalo, North Tonawanda to be exact. She was my first love, the teenage,
and there's obviously a reason why you're not together.
Well, I was the real reason we're not together is because I was an idiot, but that's a story for another time.
Right. Besides the fact that she's from Buffalo, there's that.
She's a nice lady. Okay, she's doing great. She's actually got a little girl, and she's I think she's engaged or married. I'm not sure, but that's what power of Facebook. You can follow these people on Facebook. So anyway, she's from Buffalo, and of course she's always posting about the Buffalo Bills and everything. And I'm always like, my heart. I went through a phase in my life where if I ever became president of the United States, truth be told,
just
because of her, I was gonna literally list Buffalo on eBay, no reserve, like to the highest bidder. Like we're gonna just sell this off. If China buys it, awesome. But now, I've grown older. I've got a little wiser.
If China buys them,
annex it to Canada, whatever. But it's all good. Buffalo's actually not that bad. I went there for my my wedding anniversary. So Kat and I went to Buffalo in Niagara Falls just this past September and stayed at the Westin downtown there in Detroit, or not Detroit, but we got married in the Westin downtown Detroit. So we go check out the Westins in other cities. So we went to Westin in Buffalo. It was nice. It's got a nice downtown vibe. I like it there. I like Josh Allen. Who knows where they're going? I don't know if they're going to be a great football team for long. They're probably not going to ever win anything. And you know what? Melanie, if you ever listen to this, I'm so sorry. The Buffalo Bills are probably never going to win anything. Just like the Detroit Lions. That's why we're probably kidding.
Whoa. All right. Time out. We're about to witness history. The curse of Bobby Lane is about to be broken. If Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl,
Joe Burrow.
The curse of Bobby Lane is going to be broken.
It's not.
He's
not a lion anymore. He's not a lion anymore. He's a ram. Sorry.
Right, exactly.
The Lions have to win the Super Bowl for the curse of Bobby Lane to be broken.
But Bobby Lane won championships before there were Super Bowls with the Lions. Then they traded him, and he said the Lions are not going to win for another 50 years. And that's where the whole curse came from, right? So now it's the exact opposite. The Lions sucked, but they got rid of Stafford to go win a Super Bowl. They traded him away, just like they traded Bobby Lane.
No.
This is straight out of
Jumanji. It's not broken. Nope.
Straight out of Jumanji.
Erroneous.
I don't count.
I love you, man. Good show, Commander Whalls.
And you bite your tongue. Chaz Reinhold's a saint.
I mean, funeral crashing is probably where it's at, but whatever. I love you, man. Hey, Attack Helicopter, I love you too, buddy.
Appreciate it, of course.
You guys are awesome. Until next time, we lift up our hearts.
Praise be, Commander.
Under his eye.